And one of the things my father said, before the finals was, it doesn't matter what happens out there tomorrow, that I love you no matter what. I think I started to dream of being an Olympian when I was a child, but I didn't really know or recognize that. If you had asked me the question before I found a small little thing in a project that I did in 3rd grade where I had Olympic medals on and I was a runner, I didn't even remember it until I saw that. So I think that I didn't really start to internalize the idea of the possibility of being an Olympian until I got to the University of Miami and realized that, kind of the next step was to look toward professional sports and the Olympic effort. It was the beginning of my career. I didn't know exactly how the Olympic movement worked or what it was going to be like, and I was just hoping to have some family members there and somebody to be able to make it because I knew it was very expensive to get to Europe. There was a story written in the Pittsburgh newspaper where they kind of talked about what my father was going through and him not being able to attend because he had some health issues and the cost that he was going to incur by coming over. And it ended up that people started to send in money, and my hometown supported me in a way that was so amazing and so wonderful that we actually ended up taking 8 people to the Olympic Games. So a lot of my family was there. The pinnacle of my career, I might think that it was 2005. I mean, it seems like the likely answer because in 2005, I was running my fastest time. I was the world champion, maybe the fastest woman in the world for that year. And the fact that I never got back to that time would say that I was at the top. But I think that there's some other times that have been some really high points in my career. I think the time that I was in the best shape of my life was in 2008. I just didn't get everything put together at the right moment. So fitness-wise, I think the pinnacle of my career and the time that I had the opportunity to run a faster time than I did in 2005 would have been in 2008. Getting the silver medal was a joy for me in that moment in 2004. I think, some years later, as you start to learn more about the sport and, other people's ideas kind of get entangled into your mind and, they kind of push what they think on you. It kind of, maybe corrupts a little bit the purity of what I was thinking of in 2004. And so then I think maybe, 4 or 5 years down the road, I started to maybe feel like I didn't get a gold medal versus, having earned the silver medal. But in that moment in 2004, I was very excited about it. A few days after getting my medal, my dad became sick, and I think the hardest thing for me to realize in that moment was that he had a cancer that, could come back, and he had these health conditions, and he was on dialysis, and all these different things were happening. I think through my childhood, he kind of always downplayed that role of what it was and what it took for him to be able to stay alive and that will to live. I don't think I understood it until the moment that I was in a hospital in Greece, watching my dad fight for his life. And the first hospital wasn't the best of conditions, and so it was very scary to be in another country and not know exactly what was going on, for there to be language barriers, and to know that my dad came here to see me and to celebrate this moment, and what if this is the end of it all? So to really keep myself in the moment and get ready to prepare for the relay, but also, be there with my dad and be praying for my dad and know that God was going to come through for my dad. I was definitely fighting a battle of like, why did you bring me this far to have my dad die in Greece? This is going to be horrible. So in that moment, I had to really depend on the Lord to give me peace and give me serenity so that I could figure out what the next best step was, to call on the right people, to get the right resources, to get him moved to a hospital that could make sure that he was attended to properly. My dad did a really good job of putting me at ease despite, the idea that he was in the hospital and that these things had happened and he was in an unfortunate situation. He said, "Don't worry, I'll be out, I'll be fine. You go out there, you run your heart out. Everything's gonna be great." So from that aspect, he did kind of the same thing to calm me that he did right before the 100-meter final, to make sure that I wasn't gonna be thinking about that as I stepped to the starting line. I think now that I'm older and I can look back on that relay experience, I think the thing that wasn't in place was good chemistry, good team camaraderie, the chemistry of everything working together. I don't think we had that, and I don't think that we could get the stick around the track. It wasn't anyone's particular fault, or this little thing that happened technically, or that those are the reasons that people will cite for the the stick not getting itself around. But I think overall it was what was in the air. I think one of the coolest things about the Olympic experience is the idea that you have all these people in your life that, you know, come up at kind of the weirdest times, or, you know, just when they know that you need them. And so, like I said, the chemistry was a little bit off for the relay. They were all wonderful girls, and so we were kind of sticking together in that moment. We did get behind the stage, or, you know, once it was all said and done, and remember to pray. And so in those moments, that's when you remember, like, that I don't do this just to please other people, or to, you know, represent America, or to get the gold medal. I do this for the Lord. This is my platform to be able to serve the Lord. And one thing I do remember afterward was getting back to the village and seeing my friend Cyan Richards-Ross. And the first thing she said to me, instead of saying, "Oh man, what happened?" or anything like that, she said, "Come here, let me pray for you." It was just that simple. And so you see God pop up at these little times, and just that little inkling from here and there. Everyone's dropping a little nugget for you to remind you that this is not the biggest thing. Though you feel very low right now, that you will get through this.